on the next episode of Sips, Suds, and Smokes.
Today we're discussing all things Fuente.
Fuente.
Fuente is one of the oldest and most renowned brands in the industry. Always a great smoke for me, and definitely worth trying if you have not. For this segment, we went through a 5-pack of Arturo Fuentes.
Fuente makes a ton of cigars,
Oh my
and
God, they
we
make a
really
ton of
narrowed
cigars.
this down.
Fuente.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. So we got the double Chateau and the single Chateau.
Don't go Googling single Chateau.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
We had the 858 Natural, which is one of my personal faves. We had the Queen Bee, and then we had the Churchill.
Winston?
Good lineup.
Yeah.
We'll be right back after this break. Brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement Studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking host, the good old boys. Hey man, got a light? It's time for Smokes.
Welcome to the Smokes episode, where everything good in life is worth discussing. Today our hosts are good old Boy Barger. Hello. Good old boy Mike.
Yep, I'm still here in spite of the massive protests from the Canadians.
Good old boy Drew.
The Canadian geese?
The
I
Mounties.
hear about them honking, so I figured it was Canadian
Hey,
geese.
there's a lot of crap involved.
That's right. And good old boy Justin.
Good morning, eh?
This is our smoke segments where we talk about cigars and, well, everything that's smoked. Here's what we're going to discuss in the segment. Today we're discussing all things Fuente.
Fuente.
Fuente is one of the oldest and most renowned brands in the industry. Always a great smoke for me, and definitely worth trying if you have not.
Who's not? Seriously, at this point.
I mean, you'd be surprised.
All right.
I don't know if I could be friends with somebody that's never smoked a Fuente.
Well, I mean, maybe they're a cigar newbie.
They could be. Are you a cigar newbie? Fret not. We've got you covered on our Cigar 101 episodes, where all of the cigar speak will be decoded. Just search for Sip, Suds, and Smokes Cigar 101
What's your girth, man?
and learn your girth. From that episode should pop right up, and follow the link for our show notes and quote from the website below. So today I wanted to start with a little quote from Carlos Fuente. He says, from the very beginning, the focus of making a Fuente cigar was quality tobacco, quality craftsmanship, and taking the time necessary to truly make remarkable cigar. We don't hurry things. We just do things the way they are supposed to be done. Carlos Fuente.
Michael Scott.
Needs more rum.
Yeah.
For sure.
I just think like that, doing things the way they're supposed to be done.
Yep.
You know? So today, good old boy Mike gets the honors of going over our smokes ratings. Mike, take it away.
Okay, I'm going to be using my Cuban accent for this because I like, we're talking about cigars that could be from Cuba, so
See?
I am going to be using my Cuba accent for this. So
Please don't kill us.
we don't send the hate mail right away, okay? So we're going to be smoking and discussing these cigars and rating them with our Sip, Suds, and Smokes rating, plus our signature sounds. Not their farts this time, Drew, okay?
Sorry.
All right, man. I'm going to tell you. So, I can tell that Justin, he's feeling very uncomfortable with my Cuban accent. Because he think I have a Cuban accent that he don't know that he before. So
He
here
is
we go.
closer to the Cubans.
Yeah, I know he is.
Talking about some part of Cuba I never been to, man.
It's probably,
Bento, man.
he had a client this morning who was probably from Cuba. So here we go. So I smoked the one. They sucked even before it was lit. I hate that when that happens, man. You know, I go and smoke something, it sucks
always
even
the
before
worst.
I tell you, smokes it too. But we really don't have to like this 3 times, do we? Not 1, not 2,
But 3 times.
yeah, no, uno,
Tres.
dos, but tres.
3 times.
That's
Like
right.
Tres Leches?
Yeah, right. So, smokes 4. Oh, man, very nice. Now just go away so I can enjoy this. Thank you. I flunked every dialect coach that I've ever had.
You're flunking this one too.
Yes,
so.
I'm sure. There's a whole crew of people going, please don't do that ever again. I would really appreciate it. You know?
Banned.
Yes,
Once
absolutely,
again.
yes.
Well, for this for this segment, we went through a 5-pack of Arturo Fuentes, and Drew was going to take away the first 2 readings.
Well, let's tell them all the cigars that are in the sampler pack that we
Okay.
had here.
Yeah, it was a lot of cigars.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because
was.
Fuente makes a ton of cigars,
Oh my
and
God, they
we
make a
really
ton of
narrowed
cigars.
this down.
Fuente.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So we got the double Chateau and the single Chateau.
Don't go Googling single Chateau.
Yeah,
Don't do that.
Don't
Don't
do
do
that.
Don't
Don't
do
do
that.
that.
Yeah.
We had the 858 Natural, which is one of my personal faves. We had the Queen Bee, and then we had the Churchill.
Winston?
Good lineup.
Although we're not opposed to them sending us some Sharks or Opus X's.
Opus. Yes. I wouldn't mind reviewing those. So I am. So we all smoked all of them, but I personally preferred, actually, probably my favorite smoke of the bunch was the double Chateau at a girth of 50, because that's
Show
important.
me your girth.
Although say 50, should the shingles Chateau be 25? Like just a little.
Because
Sorry.
it's half.
Yeah,
I get it.
don't know. But 6 7/10 inches.
My head hurts.
couldn't give me the extra 3/10
You
of
know
an
there
inch
was
there.
going to be math today, man.
Cost cutting, man.
It's a Dominican binder and filler and a Connecticut wrapper. The notes from Fuente is that it's smooth bodied. They're surrounded by their beautiful light Connecticut wrapper. A long and steady burn with an excellent draw. Well, I have some thoughts on that. Consistent flavor throughout. Every cigar made under their brand is, yes, all of the marketing things. They say that it goes great with a light lager or pilsner during the day, or with your morning roast of Colombian coffee.
But who's got 2 hours during a workday to pound some beers and drink,
Maybe you're in the wrong industry.
I might.
Are you not a tech bro?
Hey, listen. We don't need to know what you can do down there, okay?
Florida's different, right? Florida man chiming in. No. So I had some issues I alluded to with the draw on both of these cigars. I don't know about you guys.
No problem, man.
Yeah, I didn't have that.
It was a chore, which is not something I typically get from Arturo Fuente. And, I wanted to love them. I was probably the low man on both of these from our combined ratings, but it was a solid smoke, some mild nuttiness, light oaky, sort of tannic drying astringency, through the first third. Say middle third, it warmed up. I got some more caramel and vanilla, frankly, in both of them, but a little heavier in the double Chateau. And then in the finish, I actually ended up having to put out the single Chateau because it went out so many times, and I was massaging it.
Oh man!
Like I gave that girth so much attention.
Oh,
I
man.
was jealous.
Huh.
So, I'm curious as to what our trio has about.
I
these.
like the double Chateau, but the single Chateau just didn't have any flavor for me.
Well, I think thing with the single Chateau that was just as I was getting into the cigar, it was over.
It was done. Yeah.
So I think that it was just, that, size I probably smoked the Double Chateau almost exclusively, almost for about 5 years
On the golf course?
Yeah, you name it. That was just my go-to cigar. I love the packaging, on the Chateau and the Double Chateau. Look, I'm sorry, but it looks gorgeous sitting in the box.
Does.
It does. There's a cedar wrap on it.
Classy.
It's very classy, packaging, around it. And I just
It's a hint of elegance.
yes,
Fuente style.
yeah,
right.
and so I knew what I was getting into for the double for sure, but I'd not had, just the regular Chateau, in some size in some time. I think because probably at least for the Fuente line, if I were probably going for, the Robusto, I'd probably be having something like the, short story.
The short story's so good.
Oh yeah, I would probably be
Why
going.
wasn't it in this lineup?
I don't, who made the lineup?
Talk to Carlos.
Yeah, who
You
did
know?
this? This is unacceptable.
Right? Yeah.
I'm gonna fire myself.
So, but I was surprised that I was just starting to enjoy the Chateau when I was like, crap, it's going into the band, and I just, but at the same time, I mean, as soon as I put my lips on, either one of them, I was like, oh, this is that Connecticut wrapper that I love so much. And, it's just that hint of cedar just wafting over, when I first lit it, I was like, oh man, this is like a warm blanket to me that I haven't had in, quite some time. So I didn't have any of those, construction issues, that you mentioned. And I haven't had those problems with any of the Fuente, Chateau series. So
I was shocked.
I know. And look, it happens. And I'm going to, it's not to say
Only
that it didn't
to you,
happen
though.
with one of the things.
I mean, do you have performance issues?
Look,
There's a clinic down the
I
street.
have
Trouble keeping
I
it
have
lit.
a nice even burn and draw.
Yeah,
It
there
should
you
be
go.
should be like a t-shirt, for me. So
I have a
Justin,
good flavor profile.
Justin, can I double my bill rate because I have a nice even burn and draw? So,
I'll prove that.
yeah. So there we go. What'd you think of the Chateaus, Justin?
So the double Chateau was beautiful. That thing had such a good burn, it could have smoked itself. The single Chateau, I was wondering if my COVID came back because it was pretty flat. I started to doubt my smoking,
Yeah.
but it was well constructed.
No, I got that too from the single Chateau. Just no flavor at all.
I thought there was flavor to the single Chateau. It just
I started and finished it, and I didn't get a bit.
And we'll be back.
Hey, welcome back to Smokes episode. I'm good old Boy Barger, and today we're going over the Fuente line, or what we got from Fuente.
Yeah. Cool setup.
Yeah. So, Drew, you were saying about the Chateaus?
no. Justin was
Oh, Justin.
pontificating. I was finished saying.
I'll wear name tags next week for you, Barger.
Yeah, I'm a little hard of seeing.
I would definitely pair the double Chateau with golf because the thing won't go out, which is great when you're golfing, especially on a windy day.
See, Drew?
Well, I will.
I had that experience too. Mine wouldn't go
The
out.
single Chateau was the one that I had to relight multiple
Were you
times.
blowing
That's
into
for
it
tennis.
instead of drawing
Yeah,
off?
The-
single
the
Chateau
double-
tennis because
I'm
you're
just
going
going
to
to smoke it
play
backwards.
and it's going to go out, and then you just play another set and then relight it. It's fine.
The double Chateau didn't go out on me. It just was work to draw, and I was like, did it go out? No, it didn't go out. All right, cool. I didn't know that I had those muscles.
Well,
It's like a filler problem.
yeah, it does. So, next we're going to go over the 858 Natural.
Our ratings for the Chateau.
Oh, I thought we did that.
Yeah, no. I hinted at it before we finished. So for the double Chateau, we rated that a 3. And despite the issues with the draw, it was delicious. And then the single Chateau, we did a 2. Number 2.
Numero 2.
So next up is the 858 Natural, and we got a little bit to say on this, and I think good old boy Mike's going to take it away.
Yes, also known as Rob today, because this Barger was typing this up.
That's right.
He couldn't remember my name.
I'm so bad with names.
You typed
I'm
Rob
so bad with that.
Well,
I don't know why I put
think
Rob.
you have to stay in the Cuban accent now, and your name is Roberto. Roberto, will you tell us
I
about
am
this
Does it
cigar?
look like a Rob to you? All right. So the 858 Natural. Here's some things about this cigar. I'm going to read some background about this. So it's about 5 minutes long, but it's really worthwhile. So this is a girth of 47, a size of 6 inches. The binder is from Dominican, the filler is Dominican, and the wrapper is from Cameroon. So we're going to get to talk all about that. So listen, it all started from the steadfast vision of skill of the founder Arturo, a man who lived with the tobacco leaf so devoutly that he would continue even after a fire devastated his 500 employee strong factory in 1924. He returned to Tampa from a trip procuring Cuban tobacco. He would be confronted with the news, and it was deemed a complete loss. The patriarch would save for the following 22 years straight to pay off the debts incurred by the fire. While doing so, he was immersing his sons Arturo Jr. and Carlos in the art of tostador, which is a roller, basically. They've
Not to be confused with the luchador.
Okay, yeah, that would be bad.
I don't know.
Domingo.
Yeah.
His eyes are flinching. It was really set, everything up for his sons. With the debts completely paid in 1946, it would mark the relaunch of the Arturo Fuente brand. Run from the back of their home, each member of the family would undertake rolling of cigars, establishing a foundational ethos of legacy and pride in the product. That lives on to this day. And in 1956, Arturo Fuente and Company was passed on to the ambitious Carlos. He would astutely steer the company through the choppy waters of the Cuban Revolution. As legend had it, Carlos was actually visiting Cuba in 1962, a tender political time when rumors were rife about the possible U.S. embargo across the island nation. Following his gut, he savagely purchased as many tobacco bales as he could get his hands on. Unlike his father 38 years earlier, Carlos returned to Florida triumphant. It was just like JFK snagging 1,200 petite Upmans before announcing the embargo. He returned.
You slide dog.
Yeah, didn't get that in the history books, did we? He returned. Hang on a second, guys. I got an order on the way. Then you can move the warships in, okay? So he returned with a 3-year supply of Cuban tobacco. With an incredible competitive edge, Arturo Fuente and Company were back in the driver's seat. Tampa's aficionados abandoned their brand loyalties to get their hands on the only Cubans left in town. Not resting on their laurels, Carlos knew that this was a tender time of reinvention for the brand as well, and the Cuban stock brought him time to innovate a new defining blend. Navigating the tumultuous post-Cuban U.S. cigar market required bold moves. The terrains of Nicaragua, Colombia, and Puerto Rico were all scouted. In 1973, Arturo Fuente died at the age of 85. Commemorating the passing of the patriarch, Carlos introduced the Florfina 858 in honor of his father. And the Pajero-sized cigar, 47 by 152, released in 1975, was a favorite rolling size of the patriarch, and one Carlos would often practice while learning the ropes from Arturo, rolling as a young tostador. The cigar features an African Cameroon wrapper, which was absolutely completely novel in the time and unlike anything done by the brand before. Carlos is quoted as describing the discovery of the Cameroonian wrapper as the best in the world. Like a loose woman, she's sweet and will get along with anybody. Lauding its characteristics, Carlos identified a hint of the sweetness that lent himself very well to the medium and full-bodied blends. Cameroonian tobacco is notable for its toothy appearance on account of the bumps in the wrapper that are, in fact, flavor-packed pockets.
Flavor plaque?
Yeah.
Somebody talk to a dentist.
Can we get a plankton in here?
I can only harass Dave so much. The Marifel family sources the African tobacco, standardizing it to this unique method of cultivation, including open sunlight with the invention of modern amenities and irrigation systems. And this production style makes it one of the rarest leaves in the world. In a perfect commemoration to his father, the 858 hit all the right notes, becoming the brand's most popular vitola. The Fuentes demographic now expanded beyond the Cuban communities of Miami, Tampa, and New Jersey. The extent of the 858's legacy cannot be overstated. It's commemorated not only the passing of a great man, but a bold new direction. As a sort of successor to the 858, the Hemingway series would affirm Fuentes' longevity. The series went on to revive the old double Figueroa style of the 19th and early 20th century, a lost art resurrected, perhaps an homage to the family's proud Cuban roots. With all these roads putting in the Florafina 858, it felt only natural that my immersion into the world of Arturo Fuente would start with this stick. And it did. You know, this was one of the very first, Fuentes beyond the curly heads, that I had. We're not reviewing the curly head today,
No.
but, and I've really bought the curly head primarily because of price. I mean, they were like $1.25,
Yeah.
but I really sat down and got to enjoy, the 858 just as, very early on. And I have to say that set a frame of reference to me, saying, when somebody says, have you enjoyed a cigar? That is where my brain is absolutely aligned, straight to.
I started on the 858 Sungrounds before I went to the 858
Wow,
Natural.
That's starting, off on a really good fit.
It's
First
amazing.
one I ever had was the double Chateau, personally.
Here's a couple of notes that I wrote down. It was kind of spicy up front. The first ash actually opened up the flavor, and that mild leather and tobacco, hints of white pepper. The Cameroon wrapper is giving up that sweet aroma. In the middle, it actually got bigger for me, with these earthy elements now saturating the sweetness of the wrapper, and this can hang out with me all day long.
Mm-hmm.
The third part actually, came back, and that white pepper said, hello, and I am here to reassert myself.
Oh, yeah.
So, it was a really great, journey, really coming back around to this. And every time, I was coming across, that moment with the Cameroon wrapper, I was just going, wow, okay, it'd been a while since I'd had this. And I'm like, I really am digging, that wrapper for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that wrapper really brings the room together. Man, it just, the overall flavor profile, the lingering smell, even after you're done, it's just like, man, that cigar was awesome.
Yeah, and I think one of the questions that I went searching for was, I wonder if that choice of going with a Cameroon wrapper was simply because they were struggling from
necessity versus...
it was like, all of a sudden your supply line is cut off, and instead of chasing down to say, we have to get this wrapper and we have to go all with Cuban leaf,
Right.
did they just go, you know what? It's time for us to look outside of Cuba. There are really great tobacco leaves that are made in other parts of the world. And I wonder if this was just a latent idea that was just waiting for an excuse to come around.
Right.
Or if it was done out of necessity to say, I can buy these wrappers at 1/10 of the price that I can, drag these Cubans around. And I really think that, it's stepping up the player. I really wonder kind of what that
mentality.
conversation.
Competition entering the market around the same time as well.
I'll tell you what I like the most about it, the size. The 47-inch girth.
It wasn't too large.
It burns well, and it stays burning well throughout the entirety of the cigar.
Did somebody mention girth?
Yeah.
Today we're going to be demonstrating how to measure girth. Girth is a very important measurement when determining sizes. First, take your tape measure, place it at the center of the shoulder, bring it down through the crotch,
Hello.
and back up again, making sure it's going over the widest part.
I wonder what the widest part is.
Yes.
Is that subjective or objective?
What's that hourly rate?
That's right. So overall, you guys want to, what's our smokes rating on that?
Our smokes rating for the 858 is going to be a 3.
That was around the board. And thanks for sharing that story with us. That's a great story.
It really was, and I knew an awful lot about the 858, and I didn't know that storyline had gone down. Where he was basically seeing what was in front of him and managed to basically corner the market and bringing everything back into Ybor City. And I'm sure that there are some people around that were a part of that storyline. In Ybor still today.
I'd love to sit and talk with him.
I would,
gosh,
yeah.
yeah.
I would
Smoke a
really
cigar.
enjoy that
Yeah.
conversation to go, when you first, when
What was it like
I
when
had to
you
do that
bet
Cameroon
everything?
rapper and said, you have not worked with this before. This is what we're going to, what was your first reaction going, no, this is not going to be a real Cuban cigar. You're right. It's not. We're going to create something that's actually better than what we would be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Was this your first introduction to Cameroonian wrapper in just in general? Like when you had this cigar, you mentioned that you had it early.
yeah. Well, yes. I had not had a Cameroon wrapper prior to having the 858. So this probably was the first time, not when I smoked it this time, but when,
Well,
probably,
obviously, yeah,
like
long time
years
ago.
18, 20 years
just,
ago.
Just
yeah.
curious.
I don't remember. I remember having some Maduros, before that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was definitely probably very partial to the Connecticut, wrappers at the time. And a lot of it, I had been smoking the curly heads and, the double chateaus at the time. And when somebody handed me, the Hemingway, going, this is the bomb, Mike, this is going to be,
Okay.
the next step kind of in this journey. So, yeah.
Well, cool. Well, thank you for that. And good old boy Justin is going to read about the Queen Bee.
The Queen Bee. It's got a girth of 50.
Girth.
5.5 inches long.
It's about the top
It's got
head.
a Dominican binder and filler. And the wrapper is Ecuadorian sun-grown. The Chateau Fuente Queen Bee Belicoso sun-grown is an extremely popular small batch cigar. The Chateau Fuente Queen Bee is blended from some of the finest Dominican long fillers ever produced and capped with a deep red Ecuadorian Rosado wrapper. The Chateau Fuente Queen Bee is a sophisticated medium full-bodied smoke with notes of coffee, leather, and spice.
Love the way he rolls his
I just want to know how much leather somebody has to taste before they say, that tastes like leather.
That's a good
Don't kink
question.
shame Barger.
Hey, man. I'm
At least
not
a
king
quarter
shaming.
leather taste.
Yeah.
So I like this stick a lot. One, because you get right into the flavors. It's a good 25-minute smoke. And you really feel satisfied when you're done.
Yeah.
It's like a high fiber smoke.
That's what. never
Yeah.
mind.
No, I feel the same way, Justin. I thoroughly enjoyed the Queen Bee. I thought it was a little spice bomb, and it was like a little M80 firecracker.
Hot honey
yeah,
was what
it's
I
just-
kept thinking of. Maybe it was just the name, or because hot honey is everywhere in my life and pantry and diet right
Interesting.
now. But
Well, some of my own notes here is very earthy up front. And so I can see it kind of taking on a bit of spice, like you mentioned there, Barger. But it was Drew saying the word honey, because the thing in the midpoint that I kept on running into was like this light tropical fruit, like a lemon and a pineapple.
For me,
and
it
I
was
like, where did that come from?
orange blossom honey. That's
Yeah.
what it reminded me of. There was more clover up front. As you mentioned, it was a little more earthy, but as it warmed, it just went into this really nice honeyed sweetness for
Just
me.
if you had watched me while I was smoking this, I had this very strange reaction, like, wait, whoa, what's going on here? Because it just was such a dramatic shift from the front end, that was very earthy, and then it was almost like kind of like walking through a field, and all of a sudden you're in the middle of an orange grove. It's just, the aroma is just, kind of overwhelming. And then it went away, and then it got very woody, very, very woody.
See, I liked it when it gets woody at the end because it just mellows out nice.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan, of this one. I'd not had this one probably in a long time, or if ever. And I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of this.
It happens.
Yep.
I didn't remember having this one before, but I enjoyed it all the way up until getting to the very last bit. Personally, it just
Well, what was our smokes rating on that, Justin?
We gave this one a 2.
Yeah, I still like it. Even though we give it a 2, I would smoke another one.
I wouldn't turn it down.
I would
that's for
definitely
sure.
smoke another one.
Not I.
Yeah, I would do it again.
I'm curious if maybe the finish on it was just the stick I had, although, from listening to Mike's interpretation, I don't know.
See, I think well, we're going to talk about pairing in a second, but what I paired mine with really brought it out for me. Yeah.
It is a whole experience, to speak.
It is. So our next cigar on the list is the Churchill, with a girth size of 48, with a size of 7.5 inches. A binder and filler are both Dominican, with a Cameroon wrapper.
More of that Cameroonian wrapper.
That's right. It's so delicious. So the notes we have are handcrafted in the Dominican Republic. The Arturo Fuente Churchill Natural cigar is composed of the Fuente family's world-renowned Dominican filler and binder, which gives us a medium body smoke, cloaked in smooth, sweet Cameroon wrapper. This cigar gives a long, steady burn with an excellent draw, which is fantastic because it delivers a consistent flavor throughout the entire time smoking, so we can enjoy every second of this wonderful taste.
Consistency and flavor.
Consistency is correct. That is right. I liked this cigar. I really didn't have anything bad to say about it. What I did say about it is that it was very bold and spicy off the front, off the light. And the first third down, it was a flavor bomb. Halfway, it mellows out nicely, but it finished to be a strong, good cigar.
Interesting. Was that consistent then?
It was very consistent.
Yeah, that was definitely one word that I would use.
So we're going to take a break right now and come back after our sponsors. Welcome back to the Smoke Show.
You scared me.
Well, we're discussing everything smokes related and what we enjoy doing with our lives. Today we're discussing Arturo Fuente, which is one of the powerhouses of the cigar industry, one of the oldest out there. Anywho, we just got done discussing the Churchill, so now I want to bring it into a little bit different.
Well, so we didn't. So there's a lot of things about the Churchill.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so I guess the one thing I always have every time I pick up a Churchill size is these long, slow, deep breaths. I'm like, oh my gosh, this can take me for 4 hours to smoke this thing. Because it's a really. I think
7.5 inches is long.
Did it take you 4 hours?
It took me about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, to have it this time. And I have to say that I probably don't smoke Churchills on the regular just because of the amount of time
investment,
involved.
exactly.
And I don't know, there's something that creeps into my head going, there is no way that I'm really going to enjoy this cigar past the midpoint. It's just not going to happen because, I'm just going to keep on drawing it in, and it's just going to get, stankier and stankier.
You agree with that, Justin?
Yeah.
I love Churchills because I absolutely have nothing better to do than smoke sticks.
On the golf course, you mean?
Fair.
Or in my backyard.
While
I'd rather do
submitting
that than
billable
work.
hours?
Yeah. Well, we bill anyway.
Gotcha. I knew I got into the wrong occupation.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
We're just thinking about your case. Here's the bill.
Right, correct.
They really help with the thinking process, don't they?
I don't even have
They
to
do.
think. I just
Clears the
bill.
mind.
I tell you, man.
I might have been thinking
meditation.
about your case. Here's the
I
bill.
smoked half of these pouring over blueprints.
I actually was pleasantly surprised by this. I don't normally go for Churchills either. I think it's weird. Everyone I talk to doesn't.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I don't normally smoke Churchills. So why do they keep making them?
I purposefully overlook them unless someone gives me one.
I mean, Justin says he likes them, but
I think I'm queuing the average over. They make them for me.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, and I like the word that Barger used earlier, which was it was very consistent, and that was the thing that I really found myself, with the Fuente Churchill. I really enjoyed it I mean, almost
All the
up to
way.
the band, you know.
I smoked it to a nub.
And
I did as well.
I was like, okay, this thing is just
Yeah.
not going to waver. I mean, it just maybe for the up to the first ash, you know, it kind of, you know, waned a bit, but after that first ash, I was like, okay, game on. It's going to be like this, you know, the whole way.
Yeah.
The only thing that surprised me out of all this, other than that I enjoyed it as much as I did, was that I made it through it in 45 minutes.
Wow.
Like, it was the easiest draw of everything I grabbed.
You were
Wow,
smoking
that is
that
hustling,
way
man.
too
I wasn't
fast.
really
With no canoeing?
no
Wow.
canoeing, no canoeing, no banjos,
Okay.
you know, no nothing. It just, I mean,
Did you chew half of it or what?
no, I mean, it was hanging out of the side of my mouth while I was driving home from
What were you doing?
work, but
yeah.
you know, it burned really fast. It
you have a
burned
long
really
commute?
consistently.
It did.
but really fast.
Wow.
So, you know, I wasn't doing a chimney impression, but
Oh, man, there's no way.
It took me like an hour and a half. Cause I let it cool. I'll smoke it halfway and then I'll set it down for about 5 minutes, and then I'll pick it right back up, and the thing's still lit.
Yeah.
I don't have to work on it. I could not even.
That was the thing that
Yeah.
I had to get up to go to the can, and you know, there's nothing worse than you walk away for
Yep.
2 or 3 minutes and it just, you know,
Goes out.
something would, nope,
Just-
not this Churchill. I came back to it. I was like, it was still sitting there, you
Yeah.
know, and all I did is take, you know, a couple of draws and boom, it was right back on. And I'm like, okay. you
Yeah,
know.
I set mine down, made my rounds around my job site, and was like, well, this thing's still lit. Awesome. All right. Well, I want to ask everybody.
Our smokes rating
Oh, I thought we did
for,
that.
for the Churchill is going to be a 3.
Smokes rating for a 3.
All right. Barger, you had some follow-up questions here.
Well, I just wanted to ask you guys a couple of questions. So I want to know what you guys paired with them and how it was.
well, I guess I'll start because, you know, why not?
Yeah.
I had with most of my Fuentes actually a light Pilsner beer. Local brewery does a Czech style Pilsner that's out right now, and I picked up a case and have been slowly working my way through them. I enjoyed all of the Fuentes with the Pilsners. You know, just a nice crisp finish paired very well with, you know, the entire rainbow of flavors that I experienced with this set.
You'd be surprised how that crispness of that beer will change the flavor of that cigar on your taste buds.
Well, that's what I was worried about
Yeah.
when we were talking about the Queen Bee and that, you know, that light tropical fruit thing was kind of coming in because I had actually selected a rye whiskey that I was enjoying with it. And I was afraid that all that sweetness was coming from the rye, you know, whiskey itself. And I actually stopped drinking the whiskey for a little bit, you know, and I was like, and actually cleaned my palate. And I was like,
It was still sweet.
I really want to make sure that that was
Yeah.
part of the cigar, and bam, it was. So,
I got the sweetness with a crisp Pilsner.
yeah,
So, no.
so yeah, that was one thing that, you know, I didn't particularly enjoy that rye whiskey, you know, with the Queen Bee. But definitely, you know, having the double Chateau, I actually went back to. I just have this thing when I'm grabbing a Connecticut wrapper that I just reach for old fits.
Oh,
you
yeah, that's a
know.
good pour.
And I'd actually, you know, pulled the pre-fire, you know, Old Fitzgerald
Oh, look at
to
you.
enjoy with it. And
From the back shelf.
you know, it's just there's something that kind of marries up really well because I mean, normally I would say it's like vanilla on vanilla, you know, because there's a creaminess to that weeder. And it just, you know, it's pouring more sugar on top of, you know, the Connecticut wrapper that already is kind of fairly
Right.
sweet. And, you know, so, but I don't know, there's something about the combo of, you know, those two things that just really work well. And I don't know if it was just the hints of the cedar was just really, it was creating this wonderful effect in my mouth.
Did
And
you
I was
use the
just-
cedar to light it?
I did for the double Chateau. I
Okay.
didn't for the Chateau. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, somebody's going to hand me a cedar split. Yeah, I'm going to be using that
Yeah.
bad boy to light.
That does spark an interesting philosophical question, sort of as a follow up to the whole pairing discussion in general. Do you normally pair things that are similar in flavor profile, or do you try to pair things that are more opposite?
I have to say I'm usually contrasting. And when I talk about some of the beer choices that I made with the Churchill,
A lot of the bad choices.
no, they were both really good and completely different. So I was, with the Churchill, I sat down and actually had Bell's Brewery Hop Slam.
I love that beer.
Yeah, which kind of has
I can't
this,
drink it anymore though.
you know,
So sweet.
it's hoppy, but it's it has this sweet, you know, kind of hint over to it with the honey. And, you know, this was a fresh release seasonal, you know, hop slam that I had. And, so, you know, I kind of tasted the beer before I actually lit, you know, the Churchill. And then I'm sitting there and I'm enjoying the, you know, the front half, you know, of that cigar, you know, with the hop slam. I'm like, man, this is really working well. I would not have thought that had been the case. And part of it is I just, you know, I think the hop slam was just it's a really great beer.
It's a bit powerful in
base.
flavor as well, too.
But it's not overtly hoppy to the point where you're like, it's just going to obliterate anything going
Within
on.
itself, it's super
Unless
balanced.
it's like fresh.
Yep.
If it's fresh, it will definitely overpower.
Here in Tennessee, we're not getting it fresh.
Well, the
fresh.
back half of the Churchill I actually paired with a stout from Highwire called 5W40. You know, it's a really interesting, you know, I think it's a coffee stout if I remember right.
They do a whole series.
Yeah. I think the one I had was a coffee stout, and I was really concerned. I'm like, I don't want something that is going to be some pastry stout or some giant sugary thing that's going to come in and invade.
Adjuncts all the way
Right.
down.
I wanted something that was going to be, you know, fairly straight up. And I was sitting there enjoying the, you know, from the midpoint, you know, with the stout going, this is really working. I'm surprised. I took a double IPA and that worked well. And now I have this really good coffee stout. And I'm like, both of these are really working well, you know, with this Churchill.
Aperitif, digestif.
With the
Didn't
Churchill,
get to that point.
I actually paired the
out.
Churchill with hot chocolate,
Huh.
Interesting.
Yeah.
and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Mini marshmallows or no mini marshmallows?
No marshmallows. I don't do marshmallows. I'm weird. I know.
I was about to say, isn't that sort of half the point
I was about
of
to
hot
say.
It's
chocolate?
hot chocolate, man.
Was it Swiss Miss
Not
or
hot
are we
marshmallows.
talking like real hot chocolate?
Real hot
like
chocolate.
the Swiss Miss mixed, you know, with water, hot chocolate. I was at work.
So, Justin, do you have any interesting pairing options?
I like this Churchill with Diet Coke. And the reason why it's a great palate cleanser. So to see if the flavor changed throughout. It didn't, but I would have known if it did.
Because Diet Coke.
Yeah.
Because
Is that
aspartame.
you've got the right one,
It
baby?
makes all the chemicals
Yeah, it's the aspartame in there.
go in,
That-
in a
I like my
counterclockwise
carcinogens
direction.
lined up
Yeah.
together.
No, that aspartame really paralleled well with that arsenic. You know?
Sets off the finish, you know, just perfectly.
Yeah, just right there. Just right there.
Do
at
you
it.
generally, Barger? What about food? Do you ever eat with
So
cigars?
sometimes, yeah, sometimes I'll pair a good steak with a good cigar.
Yeah.
You know, those two things can go very hand in hand.
Well,
Or some good
cigar
chicken.
is dessert?
Good-
I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, or smoked meats. Any kind of smoked meats.
Do you smoke the cigar while you're smoking the meat,
I
or
can't-
after you
I
eat the
cannot.
smoked meat?
I cannot smoke and eat.
I
I can't do that.
I don't smoke and eat, but I'll let the cigar cool while I'm eating, and then I'll pick it right back up as a dessert.
See, I will light a cigar if I'm like, it's nice weather. I'm eating my dinner on my deck or whatnot outside. When it's time for like cheese plate or something like that,
Yeah.
I will light the cigar because, to Barger's point, you can set it down. You can have a little nibble. With some of them, they haven't gone out. With some of them, you're relighting it.
Before or after, but not during. Maybe with one exception. When I'm in fish and chips, I can definitely, keep on.
Pound cigar.
Enjoying
Cigar
this
is just hanging out of the corner
I
of your
don't know.
mouth
It's
while
just-
you're just
the
throwing
oil-
sauce
just the oil of
everywhere.
I have
fish
no
and
idea
chips
why
on
it's
your
okay.
shirt.
Absolutely. And
People
ashes,
staring in amazement.
There's a whole
More malt vinegar.
more fake British accents just
Yeah.
flying all over the
Yeah.
place.
Karen's over in the corner going, "This guy's kind of make me feel uncomfortable."
Mate, don't be looking at me while I got my Robusto in my mouth.
Should I say something to the manager? This is weird, sir. This is a Shoney's.
It's not vinegar, it's malt vinegar.
It needs the fermentation.
That's right.
Correct.
That's one thing I can't do is malt vinegar. Ugh,
Really?
gross.
I can't have fish and chips
Gag
without
me
it.
with a spoon.
Let's see, let me write that down. Barger can't be friend with me.
Yeah.
Well, let's say keep.
I like a good tartar sauce.
Barger repellent.
Yeah,
that's right.
Why don't you put some white Alabama barbecue sauce on while you're at it there?
What's wrong with white barbecue sauce?
But yeah, right.
What?
A couple of these other
ranch
cigars,
dressing.
Yeah,
I mean, just because you don't like mayonnaise doesn't
that's like
mean
blue cheese.
What's wrong with blue cheese?
I can't do it. It's gross.
Yeah, another question.
I'm sorry.
Well, yeah.
I derailed.
There were some other things that I paired with, like some coffee. I'll pair with coffee in the morning, over a good cigar. I think I did the 858 with coffee, and it's just so good.
Yeah,
so good.
It's espresso or nothing,
Well, I mean,
it's like, I'm sorry, but I can't combine cigar and espresso.
No.
Well, I get that because espresso's a little over the top. But
do you not have your twisted lemon?
Yes, occasionally.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Was that a combination of flavor? No, I'm sorry.
Well, one of the other questions I had for you guys was, what stuck out the most to you, and what was your favorite stick of the bunch?
The 858 all day.
Huh.
I'm right there with him. I wholeheartedly agree. But I'll tell you what stuck out was the Queen Bee stuck out the most because I did not expect that little bitty cigar to be such a flavor bomb.
Buzz,
Yeah.
stinger, something.
I will definitely revisit the Queen Bee.
I was probably what stuck out the most to me was how much I enjoyed the Churchill. I don't generally enjoy Churchills, so that surprised me. My favorite stick of the bunch was probably the Double Chateau, even with the issues that I had with the draw. I love that cigar. Like you're talking about, the 858 is kind of like a warm blanket,
Yeah.
That was one of the first cigars I ever smoked because it was my dad's favorite cigar.
The 858 or the Churchill?
The Double Chateau.
Oh, Double Chateau.
I think having the sampler set to me was like a conversation with a girlfriend from high school that I haven't talked to in a long time.
The direction I thought you were going to be taking that.
You were just, all of a sudden you find yourself going, wow.
You talking about Candy with an eye?
I'm so glad. Yes. I
thought it was Candy with a K.
I'm glad there was that moment in our life, that we, enjoyed the company of each other. And I remember having that same feeling, when I was enjoying the Double Chateau and with the Hemingway 858. It was just a moment dialing back to a point in history going, I know why I really enjoyed these cigars back then, and I'm so glad that I just got this one moment to come back and enjoy them just to say, wow, those were really great cigars I enjoyed back then, and they're still really great cigars.
That's good. I can envision you on your porch right now with a little boombox and the song on a repeat. And I can't fight this feeling anymore. Thinking about your old Camaro you used to have.
T-tops. Firebird.
This is a complete waste of time.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that's awesome.
No, it's not.
It's awesome.
I think that sucks. I think it sucks.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh man. Well, I think out of the bunch, these were. If I'm gonna have it say it, I say it, I liked them all. They were all okay, and I'm glad we went through this. But we're gonna take a break right now.
No, that's the end of our episode there, Barker.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought there was a break.
No,
I'm sorry. Do you want me to read the ending?
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, I'll get right on that. Wow, guys, that was great stuff. We're going to wrap up today's Smokes episode. I want to thank our co-host, good old boy Justin.
Thank you.
Good old boy Mike.
Hey, thanks for joining us here on Sip, Suds, and Smoke. Come back and join us for another less than stellar episode. I'll ask you to keep on sipping.
That's right. And then good old boy Drew.
Where am I? Who am I?
These are all questions that we need to answer. And good old boy Barger and myself. Thank you guys for having us and bringing us in your homes tonight, in your cars, and in your personal lives.
Yes. This was not a clothing optional Smokes episode, by the way.
I didn't get that memo.
Uh-oh. Whoops.
I thought it was weird that I was the only one with no clothes on.
I'm not wearing pants.
You and Brent both. Man, what is up with that?
I just like a little breeze about my privates. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're listening to us online, do yourself a favor and tap
Tap it in.
the subscribe button.
Give it a little tappy. Tap, tap, tap-a-roo.
The easiest way to listen to our show is to ask Siri, Alexa, Google, Uncle Larry, or whoever it is that talks to you on your phone. Play podcast Sip, Suds, and Smokes. We love your feedback, and you can reach us at info@sipsudsandsmokes.com. Our tasting notes flow out on Twitter and Instagram with our handle @SipSudsAndSmokes, and our Facebook page is always buzzing with lots of news. You'll also be able to interact with the thousands,
Millions and millions
of other fans on those social media platforms. Do us a favor. Take the time to rate this episode if you're listening to us online. That's a big help to us, and we get to see your feedback as well. Come back, join us for another episode, and keep on sipping.
This has been a One Tan Hand production of Sip, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see y'all next time.